What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Big D Energy,
Big D!
live on this Woodward Sports Network, Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. I am Flannel Sam. The man to my left is four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty.
Yeah, right.
Hey, we've got Spenmo Rex in the TD booth and KG in the sound booth. And hey, Darren McCarty already showed up with some violence. I lied. Just heard about Flannel's Iserman slander. Might need bail money and somebody to take Lady Flannel to birthday dinner. And oh, shout out, by the way, happy birthday to my wife, Nikki, and my mom on the same day. How did I get so lucky? But it is hell of a coincidence. It was definitely a big-time conversation starter when me and wifey started dating. That was pretty cool. But now, I like it. We've kind of managed it well, and I think today's going to be a good day. But yes, we are...
All Saints Day, March 12th, Spenny. Did you know that? That's where the most saintful people, Sam's mom and his wife.
Well...
So, yeah, you can't, and like, if you don't know me well enough, right, the boys waited till like the last possible minute to tell me that Flannel, like, I'm used to Flannel's outrage, but I heard he had something to say about Mr. Iserman.
Quite the blowout.
He did.
You know what? We're gonna get to that.
Listen, I'm gonna preface this because I'm gonna let it breathe, okay? And you people can all tell on Sam. Right, and whatever else, we'll get into it. There's other things to talk about, like a bigger issue, right, that I want to talk about because it happens when the show's not on the air, and that's Brad Holmes cooking, doing what he said. But at 12 o'clock, I promise you, Darren McCarty's State of the Red Wings address.
Yes, sir.
So all the information I need before putting my diatribe together at noon. It's about 75% formulated, but I need more information if you have that from yesterday. So other than that, good to be back. Everybody, happy Tuesday. And Sam, it is good to see you.
Oh, thank you.
I hope you make it to those birthday dinners.
You know, it's good to see you as well. And if you guys don't tell on me in the chat, I will set up the State of the Union with what I said. So it'll be a lot of fun. But you know what, Spenny? And you experienced this on your show last night. Woodward Heavyweights had a hell of a show last night. All this free agency news is just making my head spin. It just seemed like everywhere I looked, it was just another signing, another signing, another signing. And I just want to go over a couple of them in the first segment because there were a lot. One that is very, very relevant. Jonah Jackson signed with the Los Angeles Rams for 3 years, $51 million.
$50 million?
I'll tell you what, we all expected Jonah Jackson to get a long-term deal, or I mean, I guess 3 years is a long-term deal worth upwards. I thought between 12, 13 million. He got 17 million a year. So that means the Lions re-signed Graham Glasgow for 3 years, 20 million, and the Rams got Jonah Jackson for 3 years, 51 million. I would say that might have been the biggest win for Brad Holmes overall on the day.
Yep.
What say you, D-Mac?
No, I think that, at that dollar sign, congratulations to Jonah Jackson. Thank you for what you did here. But the biggest signing yesterday for the Lions was re-signing Graham Glasgow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The one thing that the question mark about Jonah Jackson is his health and how many of the games is he going to play. Well, we saw what Graham Glasgow meant to this team. The one guy that and you could say Penei Sewell too, but Frank Ragnow, the guy that you couldn't lose, you lost, and who stepped in his place. So I think hats off to what they're building. The fact is, you look at what Brad Holmes is doing. He's doing sort of things of what Steve Yzerman is doing with the Red Wings, not overpaying. And again, this is exactly what I like is Brad Holmes did exactly what he told me he was going to do, right? Re-sign his own guy, use the draft to build. And also, too, in free agency or trade, for positions of need. So the fact is, I think it's great. I think the biggest thing that I thought when he re-signed is, thank God, Spenny's Halloween costume is still intact.
Hey.
Right? Isn't that the best part, Spenny? When your boy, you got paid, and that's appreciation, too. So, I don't hold anything against Jonah Jackson. Again, Neil and I had talked about that you're in the same position as you were last year with Evan Brown. And there's going to be guys that are going to be moving along. But I don't think that it's like, what are you going to do to replace that? Yeah, so that's what later round draft picks for, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I will take this year a guy like Cooper Beebe or Jackson Powers Johnson on a rookie deal over Jonah Jackson on $17 million a year. And that's no disrespect to Jonah, but he was doing all this on a third-round rookie contract. There's levels to this. And I'll tell you what, Spenny, we were talking about yesterday, Graham Glasgow and Cooper Beebe, your bookend guards. Who says no?
Yeah.
I'm salivating at the thought of it. But there were some other important free agent signings. How about Christian Wilkins getting 4 years, $110 million with the Raiders? And I'll tell you what, when it comes to Christian Wilkins, I do think it was a little bit of an overpay, but last season he did have 9 sacks, he did have 23 quarterback hits, and when it comes to Christian Wilkins on the Raiders, it was an overpay. But with Christian Wilkins, a lot of his value is going to be what he does in service of Max Crosby. When you hear about Christian Wilkins being on their defensive line, one of my first thoughts was, okay, Max Crosby's your 2024 Defensive Player of the Year. Because Max Crosby was another one. He didn't have a ton of help last year. I know Malcolm Kuntz was pretty good. He had 8 sacks. But as far as the D-line play, Christian Wilkins is going to be a big-time upgrade. He's not going to be with the Lions, but what is that, about $28 million a year? That seems a little pricey for Christian Wilkins. Am I off base?
No, but you if you're the Raiders and Antonio Pierce, what it tells me is you're building with dogs, right?
Yeah.
What do we say about Antonio Pierce coming in, as interim and then finally getting the head coaching tag? Is that it seems like they're using the same strategy as what with the Dan Campbell based, rah guy. Christian Wilkins, I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter or social media, but he's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
He's fun. So I think that you nailed it there. They're going to bring in some different dogs, and it's Vegas. So what do they usually do? They usually overpay. So I mean, it's not out of pocket for them. But I look at this as the first few guys that Antonio Pierce as the head coach and the GM are making these moves. So yeah, you might have overpaid, but did you really, if it unlocks Max Crosby even more?
Oh, if it unlocks Max Crosby even more. Like I said, you might be looking at your 2024 Defensive Player of the Year, honestly.
And do you think these overpaid, or what we're seeing as overpaid contracts, are because of that jump in the salary cap from last year to this year?
that is 100% fair. And that's why when I saw that contract, I wasn't like, oh my God. I was just like, all right, it made me shift the mindset of how could it work? And I know that the Raiders are kind of notorious for their signings, but it could definitely work, and it could definitely help out Max Crosby, and that's the most important of it all. And Christian Wilkins is a damn
and that's
good
a good
player.
point by Spenny, because the salary cap moved up $33 million.
Yeah.
So that affords you a big primetime piece, whether it's re-signing one of your guys, looking to three $10 million players or whatever else. So you have to put that into consideration, because you're not using last year's numbers ain't this year's numbers.
No,
Definitely not.
Absolutely not. Speaking of this is actually a contract that did kind of like take me aback a little bit, but it might be the same concept. Did you see what Brian Burns got from the New York Giants? Brian Burns was acquired in a trade. It was for a 2025 fifth round, a 2024 second round, and a 2024 pick swap. Those go to the Carolina Panthers. And Brian Burns was awarded with a 5-year, $141 million extension, an AAV of $28.2 million, which is pretty similar to Christian Wilkins, by the way. But that's another one. I know the Giants, even with this, have some bigger issues, like who's going to play quarterback, for example, or who's going to play wide receiver, but
They might have the best defensive line in football.
you got Dexter Lawrence, who last year was a second-team All-Pro. You've got Kayvon Thibodeau, who I'm not as high on as some, but he did have 11.5 sacks last year. But bookended by Brian Burns. Who are you going to double-team on that line?
Can't.
You're not.
Yeah.
So every single one of those guys, I think, is going to thrive next year. It might be one of the only good units on the team, but they're going to get after the quarterback, and they're going to win some games just because they can get after the quarterback.
But little quick, and everything you're saying about what the Giants are putting together, the defensive front is true. But do you not look into it to say, okay, so now I got an idea about what the money Aiden Hutchinson is gonna command?
Yeah.
Right.
the
So
time.
you know that it's right around there, and be comfortable. It's like one of those deals. It's like, no, but I'd rather spend it on my guy. So that's sort of their guy that they didn't have, but that's what I think. Okay, so that's going to be sort of in there, depending on how he plays this year.
By the time Aiden comes around,
Might
that
be
price
200,
is,
right?
Yeah, that's gonna be up there.
No, and
It might not be 200, but it'd be
Yeah, it won't
maybe
be 200,
175. Yeah, but that's
It'll
what
be
I'm
up there.
saying. This is probably the base mark. This, defensive ends, and this is sort of like the quarterback contracts, right? Back in the day at $26 million, Matt Stafford being the highest paid. Look at it where we're at now.
Yeah. And you mentioned about Aiden Hutchinson. As much, I got a lot of respect for Brian Burns. I think he's a great player, but Aiden Hutchinson's better than Brian Burns.
Okay.
And I know that there's going to be, I don't know if there's going to be any hometown discount angle. I wouldn't count on that. But that may give a little bit of a window into what Aiden Hutchinson will potentially make. And speaking of other edge rushers who I think a lot of us Lions fans wanted, Bryce Huff gets 3 years, $51 million from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what about Bryce Huff. This is quite a crazy stat. Last season, he had a 22.9% pass rush win rate, which was only behind Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. He can't stop the run a lick, and his contract on an AAV is more than what his Spotrac market value was. It was 9. He got 17. But the Philadelphia Eagles just bolstering that defensive line. They might lose. I know Sweat was in trade talks. They might lose Reddick. So
I think they're definitely going to move on from Reddick.
Fair, yeah. And Bryce Huff is that type of guy that you need to replace them so that you still have a really good defensive line. I mean, how are you guys feeling about that? KG, I'll go with you.
Hey, Bryce Huff got more money than I expected him to, but I mean, it is what it is, man. A lot of overpays yesterday, but he's a good player. We'll see how it works out for him, but. Yeah, this defensive end market / edge market is crazy, man.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of that, Danico Autry signed for 2 years, $20 million with the Houston Texans. He had 11.5 sacks last year. They lost Jonathan Grenard. They got to have somebody else to help supplement Will Anderson. I think it's a solid move. It's cheap. It's not a long-term deal. He's a little bit of an older player. Spenny, how do you feel about your Texans getting Danico Autry?
Yeah, I like it. Danico Autry is a very versatile player. You can put him inside. You can put him outside. He can do a lot of different things. He rushes the passer as well as defends the run. So with the great brain of DeMeco Ryans there, I think Danico Autry is going to flourish just like he did in Tennessee.
I could not agree more. I think he's going to be a huge help to that team. And one more deal that was very, very interesting yesterday, and it directly affects the NFC North and the Lions. Did you see Kirk Cousins signed 4 years, $180 million with the Atlanta Falcons? And to me personally, I think that it helps the Lions because Kirk Cousins – and we're going to get into this more when we talk about some NFC North signings and whether these teams are a threat. Kirk Cousins, he wasn't great, but he was the best the Minnesota Vikings have had in a long time since that one great season of Brett Favre, and before that probably prime Dante Culpepper. So, and I also think that he's going to really help unlock that Atlanta Falcons offense. I'll give my one Flannel guarantee before I throw it to somebody else. Next season, Drake London's having his first 1,000-yard season. Kyle Pitts is having an 1,000-yard season, and Bijan Robinson is rushing for at least 1,200 yards because you're also getting rid of Arthur. You also got rid of Arthur Smith as well. So big year offensively for the Atlanta Falcons. What say you guys?
I agree with you. I think it's already set up for success. The one deal yesterday, and they're always looking to see, like you said, the North and to talk about it. To me, I thought you were going to go with the because obviously out of our division, out of our conference, who cares? Kirk Cousins. The Josh Jacobs deal.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the big one because you just because culturally, where you just say, "Hey, Aaron Jones, bye, see it," stuff like this. So, and that's the fact you're gonna have to lean it. But like what you said about Kirk Cousins is, he's set up for as much success, as possible, and it's time for these young guys that we've heard about that are supposed to be the next greats.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins give them the opportunity. The best quarterback they're gonna have played with, and Atlanta's gonna be dangerous.
The question is, does it get them anywhere though? Because I mean, on offense they look pretty good. The defense is still a little suspect. But, does Kirk Cousins take them to that next level?
Well, he's going to be a hell of a lot better than Desmond Ridder was. You had some of the worst quarterback play of any team last year. I think if Kirk Cousins was on the team last year, they make the playoffs. I think if even a lesser quarterback than Kirk Cousins is on the team, they
They
might
win
make
that
the playoffs.
division for sure.
Absolutely. And that defense, you still got A.J. Terrell, you still got Jesse Bates, you got Grady Jarrett coming back from injury, and David Onyemata. I think they'll be just fine. Yeah. I know that $45 million for a 35-year-old Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles seems like a lot, but he's not really a quarterback who relies on his legs anyway. So I just think they're looking at it as Desmond Ridder blows.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is pretty damn good. He's not great, but he's good enough.
He'll be good in the regular
season compared to Ridder.
He's elite compared to Ridder.
Regular season gonna be great.
Hey, we'll see. They got to win the division first, and that's definitely going to help. And coming up next, we're going to talk more about some of the Lions free agent signings. I know the heavyweights got into it big last night, but I want to talk about it because I think that there is a couple of angles we could hit at it from. And then later on, we're going to talk about the NFC North, whether these teams are a threat to the Lions with some of the moves that they made and some of the departures from that team. We got D-Mac's State of the Union when it comes to the Detroit Red Wings. You guys are not going to want to miss that one. But first, Lady Jane's.
First walk into Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and enter for your chance to win the $50K Perfect Bracket Challenge. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest. A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
What's better than crispy chicken and pizza while watching your favorite team play? Let me tell you about Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza. Their food is amazing and their locations are popping up all over Metro Detroit. They have one in Warren. It's like a mile and a half away from my house. Great spot. The perfect option featuring hand-breaded fried chicken, New York-style pizza, fresh salad, sides, and more. Check out their full menu and find the closest Soroki's near you at Sorokis.com. That's Sarokis.com. Soroki's in Woodward Sports. Now that's crispy.
Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. We just got done talking about some of the trades throughout the NFL, some big splash names that I think a lot of Lions fans wanted but are now not available to the Detroit Lions. However, they did make a trade yesterday at a position of need for one Carlton Davis, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They gave up the 92nd overall pick, their third rounder, the Lions did. And did the Lions give up 2 6-rounders or did they get 2 6-rounders? They got 2 6-rounders, which Brad Holmes has at one point turned into James Houston. So take that for what it is. But Spetty, I'm going to start with you because you gave your thoughts on heavyweights, and I think you gave a good perspective on Carlton Davis. What do you think of this signing?
I like it. I think this is a great trade for the Detroit Lions. Carlton Davis right now is the best cover corner you have on your team. He's a big physical guy that is very good in man coverage, and I think he fits exactly what Aaron Glenn wants to do with his defensive scheme. He is long-armed, he is tall, he is physical, he's very comfortable going up against bigger receivers. He handles bigger receivers very well. Jamar Chase said that he was the hardest matchup that he's played against in the NFL. And I know all the GMs in the chat and the GMs on Twitter say he's a bad cornerback. Sorry if I respect Jamar Chase's opinion on how a cornerback plays more than yours.
Talk about it.
This is a guy that you needed. This is a guy you didn't have on your team. Is a guy you can put on an island one-on-one with the big, tall wide receiver on another team like, Justin Jefferson that we play twice a year. So I thought this is a great trade.
And this is what I love about going to Spenny first, because you gave a lot of the practical reasons, like his skill set. You brought up Jamar Chase. You brought up what he can do on a football field. I'm going to give you more of the numbers angle, which is to the shock of absolutely no one.
Right. Wow.
So honestly, when
out of nowhere.
I know. When I first heard about the Carlton Davis trade, I was a little underwhelmed at first, because last season his numbers don't look pretty, and those are the Twitter GMs that you're talking about. You can't deny that last season in 12 games he gave up 51 receptions for 776 yards when targeted, 5 touchdowns and 107.4 passer rating allowed. Those definitely don't look pretty overall throughout the season. But my first angle of it all was I didn't love the move at first, but you know what else moves I didn't like at first? The Jahmyr Gibbs draft pick, the Sam Laporta draft pick, and I wasn't as big of a fan of the David Montgomery signing as most people were. So I was going to sit back and look at why it could work. And there are some definite reasons why it could work. And when you look deeper into it, you see that Carlton Davis, at least for this team, could be a good signing. The first one, he was much better in previous seasons. Last year, he had a couple of really rough games at the beginning of the year. But in previous years, he was much better.
Even to your point, Sam, look at his last 12 games.
Yes.
I think the quarterback rating, and don't quote me on this, was around 60. The fact that he knocked down like 20 like more than half the balls that were thrown his way, right? I always look, what have you done for me lately? Yeah, was he coming off injury at the beginning of the season? Can you see that he had improved? And then you go into his history, his past season. So what you're telling me this, I look and see, I think he was hampered by either an injury or, guys have slow starts, and it's the NFL. You're playing against other men, but the fact is he's improved. So to your point, one, about looking at the stats, you took a 30,000-foot view. If you focus in on it, look at how he ended the season, look at what he showed, and I think that's more to the true form of what we're getting. So what were your other points?
No, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because my second point was that he was much better towards the end of the year. You look at him, 3 of his 4 best games were in weeks 13, 14, and 18. So he obviously showed a lot of improvement, which leads me to overall, and this was a graphic that Woodward Sports put out, in man coverage last season as a whole, he was very, very good. Thank you, Spenny. He allowed a 66.7 passer rating, and then you look at Cam Sutton at 98.9. So what that tells me is that Carlton Davis can go slide right into cornerback 1, and Cam Sutton can play cornerback 2. That Cam Sutton is not going to be left on an island against Justin Jefferson. He's not going to be left on an island against Puka Nacua or Mike Evans. You've got Carlton Davis, or ideally you don't want anyone on an island against them, but if you had to, you'd rather have Carlton Davis. So that gave me a lot of positive vibes about that signing. And also, and I think that this is important, do you know who Carlton Davis saved some of his best play for? Against our Detroit Lions. In 2 games against the Detroit Lions. In game number 1, he allowed, in the regular season, he allowed 2 receptions for 9 yards and a 56.3 passer rating when targeted. In the playoff game, he allowed 3 receptions for 20 yards and a 68.8 passer rating allowed. Those are pretty damn elite numbers. If I'm doing quick math, that's 5 receptions for 29 yards allowed in 2 starts against the Lions, which leads me to, because it's related, Carlton Davis also saved some of his best play for the playoffs. He was excellent in the playoffs. In 2 playoff games, allowed 6 receptions for 52 yards, a 54.5 completion percentage, and a 67.2 passer rating allowed. My point is that you look at the initial numbers, which is something that sometimes I'm prone to do, and a lot of you check me on it sometimes, and you think, ooh, he kind of looked like, those numbers kind of look like Jerry Jacobs numbers, all due respect. But when you look a little bit deeper, when you provide some context, Carlton Davis at the absolute worst will be the best corner on this team next year, barring they make another move. At best, he could be, I don't want to say flirting with a Pro Bowl, but he could be really, really good for this team. At the very worst, though, he's going to be the best corner that this team has, which in and of itself, if you have Carlton Davis last year, do you make the Super Bowl? Maybe you do. Maybe you do.
You know what good GMs do?
So.
They add great players to their roster.
Yes.
You know what great GMs do? They add great players to their roster that makes the rest of the players better. You automatically got better in 2 positions, CB1 and CB2.
Yes.
Because now you got Cam Sutton being CB2 where he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the lines, so now the comfortability with that. The length, I think, is what you need in this league, which this guy has. And, you know, when you're looking at those stats, that's the real deal against man-to-man. And a lot of times that's, you know, where our Achilles heel was. So if we can go man more, that means we can blitz more and have more pressure. So I love this deal. I love this deal because Brad Holmes told you exactly what he was going to do, you know, and how we're building this team as far as, you know, free agents and trades or to positions of need. And now he also too, again, not only with on the field, but in the draft, you've put a couple more bullets in his chamber, which is a couple 6th-round picks, which, you know, a lot of people may poo-poo, but it's Brad Holmes.
Yeah.
He got you Malcolm Rodriguez and James Houston out of that. And that's the thing when it comes to Brad Holmes, because I don't want every single move that the Lions to make for me to almost just say, like, trust Brad Holmes. It almost kind of sounds cultish at this point, but it's also correct because the results speak for themselves.
You know what? And you're going to segue into why you're, you know, everything else is no. Absolutely. Until he gives you a reason not to.
Fair.
If you see the consistency. That's like, you know, that's like being a dude and you're, you know, maybe in your past you haven't behaved yourself, but you're behaving yourself, but were you going to take it that you're going to get accused for being the old you? Yeah. No, there is no old you. This is it. So until there's reason to question, there's one person in this town you can question, and I think, well, don't question him out of game because you'll get kicked out. It's Troy Weaver, right? So, I mean, like, so Sam, I vehemently disagree with you. The fact that right now we're in homes you trust.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't given you reason not to. Don't be like everybody else. It's freaking sit back and go. He's cooking.
Yeah.
Is he not cook? This is like Brad Holmes barbecue, man, and he's cooking everything that you want, and it's doing it his way.
Yeah. No, which is precisely why I looked a little bit deeper than just the numbers. Because I got to be honest.
Whoa.
I know. Stop the presses, D-Bag. Because
you almost killed him, man.
I'll tell
Elizabeth.
I'm coming
Come
to
on,
you.
Elizabeth.
I'll tell you what. If Bob Quinn would have made this exact same move, I would have been like, hell no, what are you doing?
Don't you ever put Bob Quinn and Brad Holmes'
That's my point.
Don't you put, so don't even bring, what did I just say about past relationships?
He's trying to make a point.
I'm just praising Brad Holmes. Like, whenever.
But don't do it with we don't mention
Quintricia.
Okay, fine. Fair enough.
It's a curse word.
KG, what's your thoughts on Carlton Davis?
Listen, it's a cost-effective move from the standpoint of if you would have traded for L'Jarius Sneed, you probably would have had to pay a little bit more when trying to, you know, make that contract extension. But it's low risk. You only got him for a year. It's a contract year. He's 27. So there can be a lot of growth out of this year. It's a contract year, so I expect him to play well, especially seeing that the Lions have something to play for. And like you said, man, the numbers may not grab you. The interception numbers ain't the best, but what I looked at is passes defended. He has double-digit passes defended in damn near every season he's been in the NFL. That says to me that he's very good at covering receivers and being there at the point of attack. So I'm happy with the move. He is our CB1. I saw a lot of people online posting the video when Craig Reynolds trucked him. Like, we got to stop it, man.
Dude, he was in position.
Even the best players get beat sometimes. It just happens,
He
man.
was in position.
Exactly.
Just, you know, next time. And here, let me address Anthony Patterson.
Yep.
He says, we all still have the right to question shit. It's all part of being a fan. If we just let Brad handle everything without criticism, we have no fun in the offseason. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. In the fact that, do you not have fun sitting back and things working out? That's telling me that you don't enjoy life without drama. And there are some people like that. So if you need to bitch and moan and whatever, but what my whole thing is, and this goes on to what my diatribe about the wings will be. If you want to and you believe it because you've watched it, then you can't. You can question it up to a point.
Yeah.
but you have to let it play out. This is the same thing as Spenny. How often before this move was made yet? Like, can you let the thing cook? Everybody wants to get served. They threw the barbecue on the grill. It's been on for a minute.
Yeah.
You want your steak well done? Come on, guys. Like, this is the respect that you need to give, and then listen to what your GMs say. So what I'm saying is, you can be any kind of fan you want, but be fair, right? Be fair. And you know what? It's new behavior because it's been a long time since we've been sort of in this position.
Yeah.
And wait and say. So if Brad Holmes doesn't do this or he doesn't do that, to you as a fan, you question it. That's cool. But what I'm just trying to tell you is that look at the way it's played out and listen, because it's coming to fruition. Did we not just learn that last year?
Yeah.
So can we please just let this man cook?
We got to be a little patient, most definitely.
Well, that's the hardest part about being a fan.
Of
and
course.
you can be any way you want, question any way you want, but in all seriousness, at the end of the day, do you not have to show some respect for, have they not earned this?
Right.
Well, I don't even know if it requires patience, because they were in the NFC Championship game last
Yeah.
year. So, like,
Yeah.
Lions fans haven't even had to be patient.
Patience to let the free agency go a day.
Yeah.
How about that?
Right.
Patience to see who he drafts, right? Because I know everybody's not going to be on board, just like they weren't last year. How did that work out?
Yeah.
It's big facts.
So,
Yeah.
I'm just like, why am I wrong? Am I seeing this wrong?
No,
to the
not at
fact
all.
do you not earn?
You're
They've earned it, and it's taken so long.
You're 100% right, which is why even myself, I looked at a cornerback who did not have good numbers last year as a whole and thought, how can this work? There's more than meets the eye. Even me, because it's Brad Holmes who did it. And that's what he's earned through the results speak for themselves. You know who else's results speak for themselves? Guardian Alarm, am I right?
Absolutely. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts, professional technicians that take the time to recommend secure and automated solutions specific to your needs. But I need you to call Guardian Alarm today. The number, 1-800.
Stay out.
24/7 professional monitoring. Call anytime, day or night. Know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as it's needed. But I need you to call the number, 1-800.
Stay out.
Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Business, pleasure. Guardian doesn't care. Just give them a call, 1-800.
Stay out. Stay out of the net, please. We need to win. We need to win.
Guardian Alarm, local security experts. Selling Big D Energy. We sent you.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer. Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit feldmanauto.com to find the location nearest you. Catch Woodward Sports Network live from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi every other Monday. Welcome back to Big D Energy live on Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam. The man to my left is four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty. Stay tuned for his State of the Red Wings address at 12:10. We got Kenji in the sound booth and Spencer Raxter in the TD booth. And if you thought that Brad Holmes was done cooking after that Carlton Davis trade, you are wrong. Because, and I see this a lot on the chat, about help for Hutch or defensive line help. They did make a signing. one Marcus Davenport. Marcus Davenport, formerly of the Minnesota Vikings, and before that, the New Orleans Saints. It's a 1-year, $6.5 base deal, potentially with $10 million in incentives. And it's funny how this always comes back, and karma's come to bite me in the ass a little bit, because on a previous version of the show, I once made a reel in which I talked quite a bit of crap about the Vikings for signing Marcus Davenport prior to last year, in which I said, you signed Marcus Davenport in his half sack, and now the Lions have him. And like I did with right, and like I did with Carlton Davis, I too had a little bit of I don't know about that, but then I looked a little bit deeper and it made me feel a little bit better. And somebody whose social media actually made me feel a little bit better, because you made some great points, Spencer Raxter. I know you've got some things to say about the Marcus Davenport signing.
Yeah, obviously Marcus Davenport isn't this top flight edge rusher that you can bring in, but you brought him in to stay healthy. You gave him a contract that if he stays healthy and if he produces, he'll get the maximum money. So this is a guy who, when he's healthy, which is extremely rarely, he is a great pass rusher. He has like the 11th best pass rush win rate in the NFL when he's on the field. So if he could stay healthy, he can be an impact player, but that is a big if.
So am I seeing this correctly? And I don't know, does Charles Harris still have 1 year left on his contract?
Did they get rid of him?
But
Yeah,
anyways,
Charles Harris
is that
is
not the role, the Charles Harris role? You sort of looking like what you got out of him that got him a new contract? I think this is a great deal. I think that as a destination place, not only with, free agency, stuff like that, but incentive base, right? That's what older guys like, because you're going to give a chance to play and stuff like this. We saw incentives, and I'm not saying he's a Chris Jones and anything like that, but Chris Jones got $1 million in bonuses last year. So you'd be happy, Spenny, to pay him his money, because if he earned it, that would be it. And I think just the veteran presence, it only helps, right? You're adding to a guy that's played how many years in this league?
He's played since like 2017 or something like that.
2018.
2018. Thank you, KG.
So is it fair to say that Davenport, he was in New Orleans?
He was
with Dan Campbell.
He's familiar with Dan.
So again, read the writing on the wall. Put the pieces together. As far as this is a culture piece.
Yeah.
This is a piece that brings it to the locker room, to practice every day. All these, this mentality. Look to it that's what it tells you about Carlton Davis.
No.
He's already. I gotta think he's got dog in him. He might be a silent dog, more of a silent assassin guy like this. But look at this when you look at these guys that are coming. And I like this, because $6.5 million, even if he's a bust. Right. You lost Mosley last year for that.
Yeah,
right. Teams are always going to lose guys like that.
I just would hope that this ain't they only move at the end. I'm pretty sure it won't be. I'm sure they'll draft one, but I don't know. The injuries kind of bother me, man. He's been on injured reserve at least 3 or 4 times in his career. In one offseason, he had 5 surgeries alone. So yeah, it's a low risk, hopefully high reward move, but I'm just worried about the injury risk.
And you have every right to worry about the injuries, because last year was his most injury-prone season ever. He only played 4 games, and in his career, he's played 67 games in 6 seasons, and he's missed 32. Every year, there's always something with Marcus Davenport.
But what do we know about Brad Holmes? Whether it's the draft or free agency or whatever,
he doesn't
ain't
care.
Afraid.
He don't care.
No, I mean, is he not?
Injured,
if you looked at GMs that'll take guys that are injured or think that they can make something out. So to me, they have a competent medical crew, right? So this is a culture move. Yeah,
and honestly, if you look back, Marcus Davenport has been a good player in this league at times. His 2021 season, he had 9 sacks in 11 games, 16 quarterback hits, 9 tackles for loss, and a PFF grade of 88.8. He was also very good in 2019. I would say that if there are any concerns about Marcus Davenport, which you have to bring him up, he really only had 2 high-level seasons like that. And also, and I'm not, me, I'm not one that is all about sacks. I think sacks tell some of the story, but not all of the story. But Marcus Davenport has had very spotty sack production over his career. In 2020, he only had a 1.5 in 11 games. And the aforementioned 2022, he only had a half a sack in 15 games. Has had I believe, 23 in 67 games. That's not anything to write home about, although that's not not all that he does. And of course, the injury concern. You have to.
Right.
You have
4
to,
games last year.
Right. I mean, 4 games last year is not good, and he's had some years of like 11. Go ahead, D-Mac.
No, I was just going to go to the chat. Sean Hart, Davenport fits the rotating piece. They love fresh legs late in the game. Dad with Tourette's. He's a third down defensive end who costs nearly nothing. Then Anakin Skorger. I don't like the Davenport move per se. However, it does address the problem of a pass rusher. As for the cornerback, he's great for so long as he doesn't get injured. Yeah, in Monster, I know the quarterbacks, that's, the where it's at. So I think that, and Neil would be proud of all you guys when you look at the money and go, okay.
Right.
And it's something that, like I said, this is more for locker room.
Yeah.
Well, and also, when you're a Marcus Davenport at this stage of your career, and this is where I hope that he can be the most valuable, you're not just playing for yourself. You're obviously playing for your team. What you do best will be in service to Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
If he's a better bookend pass rusher than anybody that they had last year, that's already a win. It's just like Carlton Davis. I gave you the names of the bookend pass rushers last year. Charles Harris was terrible. Bruce Irvin was there for a game. He was like a comet. He helped you win the Saints game, and then he was gone. The Okwara brothers had Romeo was actually pretty good, but Julian had inconsistent playing time. You got James Houston, who was hurt all year. And that brings me to that point. If you've got Aiden Hutchinson on one end, you've got Marcus Davenport, and then James Houston comes back and is healthy and is even an approximation of what he was in 2022, that's not terrible. I mean, it's not. I'd still like them to make another move. I agree with you, KG, or address it in the draft, but I'm not going to be mad at the Marcus Davenport signing, and partially is because we've seen him play good football. It does address a need, and I'll go back to it, and D-Mac, you're going to be proud, it's Brad Holmes. With Brad Holmes, you always have to look at why can it work, not why is it a questionable move.
That's a great point, Sam.
Yeah.
You're coming around. You're right.
Hey, I'm doing my best. And you know who else is coming around? Dr. Jeff Pierce. He's in studio right now and coming back. We're going to have a conversation with him. But first, Spenny, tell us about Premier Pet.
Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences of the online and big box retailers with one major difference. They are family and locally owned and operated for 30 plus years. Over 50 brands of food with nutrition experts to help you. Same day local curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply, give your pet the best. www.premierpetsupply.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports. Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Are you tired of wearing the same old Detroit sports merch? It's a new era in sports wearables, new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Check out Woodward Sports' latest gear at woodwardsports.com and click shop. Hoodies, tees, and the hats that are guaranteed to turn heads. Get the latest designs today at woodwardsports.com and click shop. Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network, and right now, as you see on the back wall, we are joined by injury insider Dr. Jeff Pierce. And Dr. Jeff Pierce, you're pretty excited about Cranbrook hockey and their state championship win last night. Tell us about it.
Actually, it was on Saturday.
Yep.
They came in unranked into the playoffs, and one of the players, actually the goalie, was a patient of ours. Had a fracture in his spine, kind of took about 6 months off, healed up, came back from Cranbrook, and really was the difference maker of the whole thing. He had 57 shots on goal and only let in 2. And they ended up winning in triple overtime with 27 shots on goal.
That brings up a great question, though, Doc. You said that. So how old was this young man when he came in to see you with his back injury? Was he in high school?
15.
15. So when you see injuries like this at younger kids, do they heal quicker? Does that make sense, or how do you go about diagnosing, a 15-year-old as opposed to diagnosing a 25 or 35-year-old? Like, as far as like a professional athlete opposed to somebody that because your goal is to is life. It ain't about a career and stuff like this. So
right.
how do you know to keep them off for 6 months or different things like that? I guess the question I'm asking is for anybody who's out there, that if they do get hurt, and concussions is a big problem, back injuries, shoulders, stuff like this at a young age. But this is the reason why, this is a success story of why they come to see you.
Yeah, I mean, this was a unfortunate thing. I mean, he had back pain, ongoing back pain. It was like we didn't really know why. He ended up having the fracture. Let's just call it a fracture without real description. But we tried the conservative stuff, but then we finally had to put him in a rigid brace, to really just stop him from moving. He's a big, tall kid, basically a long torso, which is a little bit more of a torque on it than a shorter torso. So you have more variables creating weakness for him. So just to keep it simple. And then putting that hard shell, like he literally had the hard, rigid shell that I hesitate to put him in because they usually hate it. But he actually was very compliant with it because he was feeling a lot better. It created that support. And then, I mean, he's a big hockey player, big goalie. I think he stands about 6'3", 6'4". And, he came back strong. And it's not just resting him. It was resting him and then rehabbing him, right? So if you're in this shell, it's not that it causes atrophy, but your muscles are much weaker. So he had to go through a real rigorous therapy program, and the kid was very compliant. He was, the perfect patient. He listens to you. He follows through for the most part, and he rehabbed, and to the point that he stood on his head during this whole playoff run, especially in the last game, to win. It was just, it was a good feeling. It was a great feeling that they won. It was a better feeling that we were a part of his recovery. And, it was great to celebrate.
Spenny, it's safe to say that the goaltender, what's his name?
I can't say that.
Put his team on his back.
He did.
He did. You like that?
Hey.
You would never gone there. But that's something too, I guess. And when he was diagnosed or when he came in, obviously without the pain, but was this something that he didn't think he might be able to play anymore, or was it does this happen a lot with some of these younger guys?
Yeah, you have to prioritize. I mean, he was an every sport player. He was lacrosse, football, hockey. I think he golfed. Like, he played 4 or 5 sports. He's 15, 16 years old. I want to do it all, which we encourage. But then we started prioritizing because he does have potential for, these kids are worried about scholarships and things like that. So it's like, what do we got to prioritize? What's the priority? And what season can we take off to miss out on? So that those are the discussions that we have. We look down, I want cross training, obviously, sports specific training, but also the cross training, which will help. This was a little bit unusual. We don't even know how he actually got it, which was concerning also. We were worried about other pathology, meaning why does a 15-year-old have this fracture where he didn't have a direct trauma? I mean, there were a few things that happened as a goalie in lacrosse that we might have been able to point to, but there wasn't like, oh, that was like a major accident or a major collision. So that puts other workups in and other concerns that we work out at Michigan Sports and Spines that, it has to make sense. The injury has to make sense. What's going on has to make sense, or we have to worry about, unfortunate we have, where we pick up on tumors and cancers and bone growth or hormonal differences that, a normal doc may have missed it. So we kind of take it to the next level. It's like, okay, there's an injury, but those are the ones sometimes that scare us the most. So.
No, and I wanted to kind of parlay that into this because when you hear about that injury and you hear about him playing so well in the state championship game. That's pretty inspirational. It's pretty much the definition of inspiring. So what would you say to somebody who maybe has an injury like that and is feeling kind of down, like, I don't know if I'll ever come back from that?
So we've always talked about how to turn lemon to lemonades, right?
Yeah.
So what I do with a lot of these kids that are upset, like I talked last week about the 14-year-old playing basketball, we take that opportunity to teach them how to train and don't take everything for granted. A lot of young kids think they're invincible, that they can just go through the wall without any injuries. Sometimes an early injury gets them into a better training program, a better understanding of their body, a better, they don't take it for granted. They'll cross train, they'll get up earlier. Those are the ones that kind of make it, right? The guys are like, there's an attitude that's developed too, and there's a psychology behind it. The guys that really want to push, they're going to push through the injury, grow from it, and enhance what they're going to do the next time out. So it's not, earth-shattering when they do get an injury. They're ready to, okay, I've been through this before, I've made it, it wasn't career-ending, and I'm having fun.
No, that's great. That is pretty damn inspiring. And like I said, if you can come back from something like that, that's I think a lot of people could look at that as a great story. And I like how you try to make them make lemonade out of lemons. So Dr. Jeff Pierce, on an unrelated note, how are you feeling about the Lions off season? Are they going to repeat at least as going to the NFC Championship game?
As we sit here today saying everybody's healthy, everything's equal, yeah, I mean, Green Bay, the rest of the league is tuning up with their staffing off season, but I think the mentality, I pushed it a lot, that locker room mentality is something that's second to none. To have everybody working with a positive attitude for the right reason in the same direction, that's the best thing that could happen. And I think the way they rally behind Campbell and their quarterback, I think that's most encouraging. If we can say everybody stays healthy, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, that's the key factor. We were very fortunate that everybody was healthy at the end of the season, which is much stronger. And I think they're going to make a few changes here. Yeah, I would like to see them in the championship game again.
Which, Doc, I always want to ask you this question, right? And maybe it's different in sports, but maybe football to hockey. But with injuries and the way that you guys have progressed with medicines and treatments and stuff like this, which injury was the one that was not the death, but it would keep you out, whereas opposed to now, it's looked at like not really anything. I think it brings up the question because Kirk Cousins just signing with Atlanta and coming off an Achilles injury, and we've seen Cam Akers and stuff. Is the Achilles the new career ender in football, or is it because knee injuries, you go and you get it scoped during the week and stuff like that? Can you just talk a little bit about what's not a death sentence, I guess, injury wise?
We want to say nothing. But
is it true? Can you say nothing?
No, because other
than the greatest.
Yeah, right. Except removing spinal injuries and compression and neuropathies and things like that. But you're right. ACLs, the anterior cruciate ligament, used to be, are they going to make it back or not? Now it's like you're referring to when there's knee injuries. We either scope if it's simple. ACLs, we have a course, we have a program that should get them back. That's what you're looking for. With Achilles, I mean, they were longer rehab programs. The surgery was more involved. Now they have more minimal surgical repair, which is causing a shorter rehab and a stronger recovery. So do we want to say nothing? I think almost everything, the way medicine is today, the minimal procedures, minimal invasives, they're starting to understand less tissue that I disrupt, the quicker the recovery. So the Achilles, there was more hype around Aaron Rodgers with the push-pull. Kirk Cousins was a little bit more traditional, but again, minimally invasive. Minimally invasive is the key thing that you want to talk about. So that's what's happening. I think, is he proven with a 4-year contract? Like I said, before, it's like I'm a little concerned. I would have milestones that he gets to, but he's got a better agent than we think to get them on board. And like other people say, Atlanta doesn't always make the best decisions, but I guess time will tell. But to answer your question specifically, I don't think there's any injury. I think more mental is playing a role. I think tiredness, I think multiple injuries is causing people to think about retirement. I think the brain is concerning everybody because it's still an unknown. You know, guys are getting multiple concussions. I think they're thinking more. The musculoskeletal or injuries like this, I think everybody feels confident they can come back to it. I think medicine today should be complimented that is the possibilities. And the training staff, the biologics that we're doing, the recovery, the cross-training, just the nutritional part is so far advanced than it was even 10 years ago. So,
Spenny?
And yeah, Doc, appreciate you for joining us. I have a guy that I'm looking at for the Detroit Lions to add is DJ Reader. And he's coming off, he's a big dude. He's a 6'7", 330-pound defensive lineman who suffered a tendon tear in his right quad last year. And I was just wondering if you could give us some insight on how long a recovery process he'd be looking for. It happened in week 15 last year, so he's been off for a little while. But how long would he be until he's 100%?
I mean, you can actually play. I need to know how much of that quad was torn. You know, if we have a small segment of it, he's really playing without much difficulty because he's that size. He's so powerful. But overall, what happens is that you'll have a tear. So it's a very large muscle. So that muscle kind of hypertrophies. It continues to grow and thicken. So he may be weak in that one little spot, but that muscle will enhance and grow further. You'll get blood supply going to the other parts of the muscle to create thickening of that muscle. And these guys know how to get stronger, and he'll make some small adjustments. That shouldn't be, I mean, especially if it was a mid-belly tear, we don't worry about those as much as if it was torn closer to the attachment or where the bone is. So I would be surprised if he may be a half a step slower, but he'll come back probably stronger because he's going to work harder to compensate for that.
Ooh, DJ Reader coming back stronger. DJ Reader, you are a lion. Thank you so much, Dr. Jeff Pierce, for joining us. That was a great story about Cranbrook and some very valuable information about a guy who I know Spenny's high on and I'm high on as well, DJ Reader.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
congrats, Garrett.
Absolutely. But first, I have to tell you about Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for only $10 a month, no commitment. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Big Boy Seafood Fest is sailing in with a fresh catch of favorites. Dive into fish and chips, our new palm-crusted cod, perfectly fried clam shrimp platter, or a delicious fish sandwich. Try our new mango iced tea, the ultimate complement to our popcorn shrimp, our all-new fried pickles, shrimp alfredo, or shrimp stir-fry. Experience all the sea has to offer every Friday night with our all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. Every day is a fish fry, only at Big Boy.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports. Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
The new glorious ice water bubble hash pre-roll now with diamonds. Bam, Spenny. Constantly pushing to create the best canna experience. The perfect boost comes from the added touch of pure THC diamond dust, allowing flower with only the highest terps. That's taste, making the best better. Glorious Cannabis, check us out. Your local retailer, gloriouscanna2ns.com.
Yes. As old JB Smooth would say, welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. And we just had a very interesting conversation with Dr. Jeff Pierce. But before that, we did a lot of Lions free agent talk. But the NFC North as a whole made some waves, I would say. And I think in some ways teams got better, but they also might have done some things that I find a little bit questionable. First, I want to start out with the team in the division that actually made the playoffs, the Green Bay Packers. They made a couple of interesting signings and a couple of releases. One, they signed safety Xavier McKinney to a 4-year, $68 million deal. Damn. And they signed Josh Jacobs to it looks like a 4-year, $48 million, but it's really 1 year with 3 one-year options. It's kind of one of those deals. They released Aaron Jones and they released David Bakhtiari. So on the surface, D-Mac, did the Packers make moves to make them better, or do you think they're actually going to be worse because of it?
We'll have to let it play out, and obviously they're putting their eggs in, the way that they sort of did Aaron Jones isn't sort of the cool thing to do, but is Josh Jacobs an upgrade as far as if you're going to pound the rock and stuff like that? I thought, maybe Aaron Jones a little bit better.
He's injured a lot.
What's that?
He was injured a lot.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's when you hear as far as releasing, same with Bakhtiari. I mean, I think they're good players. The fact that it looks like Aaron Jones is going to latch on Minnesota for a little revenge tour.
Yeah.
But again, they must believe it. It doesn't scare me. Right? Does it scare you? No. We're one of the best rushing defenses in the league. So, you know what? You're playing in our hand.
Hey, the Xavier McKinney move, though, if there's any that scare me personally, it's Xavier McKinney, because the Packers but both of their starting safeties from last year are free agents. And Xavier McKinney, I know there was a lot of noise about Jordan Poyer or Quandre Diggs or Justin Simmons. Xavier McKinney's better than any of them right now. He's one of the best safeties in the NFL. I mean, he had 116 tackles, 3 interceptions, 11 passes defended. When he was the closest cover man, he allowed only a 52.1 passer rating and 33 receptions for 288 yards and 0 touchdowns. Xavier McKinney is elite. I will say this, though, as just player for player, I think Aaron Jones is better than Josh Jacobs. However, Aaron Jones is older. He's had some injuries. And Josh Jacobs, just 2 years ago in 2022, had probably the best running back season in that particular year. It's just last year he was a little bit, he had a down year. He only had 3.5 yards per carry, and Aaron Jones for his career is 5. KG, what are your thoughts on Aaron Jones versus Josh Jacobs?
I think Josh Jacobs is the better back personally, and he stays on the field more. He's just as physical. But, I mean, it was a good move for the Packers, man. Absolutely. But does it scare me like you said? No, I still think the Lions are the best team in the division. But the Packers are coming. This is not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be a walkover. And I need the fans to realize that. Like, the Packers are coming.
Oh, they most certainly are.
Here's the thing, right? Let's go to their offensive line, right? If they address their offensive line, right, then I might be a little bit more intimidated with what you said. But right now, where we're at in this division, it wasn't like, oh crap, here they come, right? Not saying that they can't, but let's see what other moves they sort of make, and when the picture's finally made, it's something. They made their team, they feel better. You nailed it, Sam, as far as you're going to get one of the best safeties in the league, but I wouldn't trade him for what we have at safety in Brian Branch.
Well, I wouldn't trade it for Brian Branch, but him for Kirby Joseph straight up.
But that's fucking stupid, because that would never fucking happen.
Obviously.
Quit making Madden trades in the fucking thing.
Obviously.
But don't obviously, because the obvious one is you got Brian Branch, which you're looking to be your Xavier McDaniel. You got David Montgomery in the backfield I'd rather have than Josh Jacobs, because I also have Jahmyr Gibbs. So when teams start making moves, I want good players, great, but does it affect me? No. the fact that they got rid of Bakhtiari, and I know that he's old and the fact that he's injury prone and stuff like this, but this was a Pro Bowl guy for a long time. So how are they going to adjust to that? To me, it's more what they put around.
Before I get to before I get to the Minnesota Vikings, this is from DNC-ENT. In 2 sentences, Sam said McKinney is better than Simmons and Jones is better than Jacobs. Is that really that hot of a take? Come on. Look at the numbers with Justin Simmons and Xavier McKinney. Just look at the numbers. Don't just listen to the name. And when it comes to, Josh Jacobs, he had 3.5 yards per carry last year. I'm not saying that's who he is. It's just I'm not crazy for saying those things, and I will die on that hill. So DNC-ENT,
shame on
take
you,
your L.
DNC-ENT,
take your L.
for not looking straight at the stats to begin with when you were going to argue this. Shame on you. You should know better when you're talking to Sam.
You know what? Take your L, DNC-ENT. But anywho, the Minnesota Vikings, they're another team that made a lot of moves. First of all, one of the most important is they lost Kirk Cousins. So they've got some questions at the quarterback position, but they may or may not have been answered. They signed Sam Darnold to a 1-year, $10 million deal.
Look out.
I'll tell you what, I'm higher on Darnold than most, but it's going to be a downgrade, at least at the position for Kirk Cousins, although he's making 10 versus 45. But also, the Vikings, they took away Aaron Jones from the Green Bay Packers on a 1-year, $7 million deal. And I'll tell you what, Aaron Jones is a hell of a lot better than Alexander Madison. And they also signed a couple of bookend edge rusher types who I certainly looked at as targets for the Lions. They signed Jonathan Grenard to a 4-year, $76 million contract, average annual value of 19. He had 12.5 sacks last year, 22 quarterback hits, very good against the run. And on the other side, they signed Andrew Van Ginkel, my guy. And one of the reasons I love Andrew Van Ginkel so much is because he is a PFF demon. 6 sacks, 19 quarterback hits, 8 passes deflections, and a pick 6 in coverage, and was the 7th ranked edge rusher according to PFF last year. Number 7. He was playing on a loaded defensive line when healthy, but still. And they also signed Blake Cashman, linebacker, who himself had a pretty damn good year. So the Minnesota Vikings, me personally, D-Mac, and I don't know if you agree, I wouldn't just make their gravestone yet. I think they're still going to be a factor based on some of the moves they made, depending on what they do in the draft.
No, but look at the division.
Sure.
Division's all getting better.
Yeah.
We haven't touched on Chicago yet, but they got all the drafts and all the money. You look at and this is all respect what the Packers, the Bears, and the Vikings are doing, because they know they're chasing you.
Yeah.
Right? So they have to come back. It was brought up pretty good is the fact that, yes, we have a lot of good starters on our team, but it's and we're more into how are we going to, like we talked about with Davenport, are you going to get, third downs out of them and stuff like this? We're more into placing guys to support our number one guys. These other teams still need the top starter guys. So you're still ahead in that aspect, but they're going to be better. This division is going to be better, right? Yeah. To a whole. I expect everybody's record. Don't you, Spenny, everybody's record to be better in this division, and this is adding players.
Except for maybe the Vikings.
Yeah, but maybe like that. Their roster moves is sort of like, oh, okay, because at the end of the day, Sam Darnold really, so you would expect, like, on paper right now, if you were ranking it, would it be the Lions, then what, the Packers, then the Bears, and the Vikings?
Probably.
So,
Vikings are still at the bottom. Let's not get that messed up and
right,
confused.
And what they've done, and at the end of the day, because I go back to, you're going to let Sam Darnold beat you?
Right. No,
it's a stopgap. That's not their long-term
the
solution.
Panthers quarterback by Sam Darnold beat, but it was more because of the running game. But I guess
it was on the road in one of those games.
Of course, but I guess, and Spenny, you've talked about it as something that Brad Holmes has said. The Vikings use free agency for needs. They needed pass rushers, they got them. They needed a running back, they got him. They could have used a linebacker to put next to Ivan Pace, they got him. And they needed a quarterback, and I know it's Sam Darnold, but at the number 11th overall pick, you're probably not going to get your cream of the crop quarterback. So.
But J.J. McCarthy might be there.
No, but I don't think he will be. If he is at number 11, I would run to the podium if I were the Vikings, but I don't know if he is going to be there. But that's another story for another day. The Chicago Bears, they made a move that I think a lot of people are going to be like, that was a good move, and a move that a lot of Lions fans are going to think is trash. I'm going to go with Kevin Byard one first. They signed safety Kevin Byard to a 2-year, $15 million deal, which I think that's a pretty good haul. On the cheaper side. On the cheaper side. Kevin Byard's the guy who's been an All-Pro twice. He was very good against the run last year, which was really going to help on the Bears because they were very good against the run themselves. Number 1 run defense. I'm sure Ryan Poles looked at that. But They also signed our old buddy DeAndre Swift to a 3-year, $24 million deal, an average annual value of 8, which is higher than the average annual value of David Montgomery's contract. So is anybody in this room shaking in their boots now that DeAndre Swift is RB1 for the Bears?
Absolutely not.
No.
It'll be backed by committee. He's not reliable enough to hold down the starter role, but he did have a good year last year.
He did.
We'll see how it plays out. The Bears still have questions on the offensive line, so we'll see how it plays out. But welcome back to the North, DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, welcome back to the North. I mean, that's the thing. He did, credit to him. He had a great year last year with Philly, and he parlayed that into a contract. I mean, I could see it maybe working. He gets some carries. Khalil Herbert gets some, Khalil Herbert on a per-game basis is actually very good. And then if you need like a hammer back like Roschon Johnson, it's just that's a lot of money to pay DeAndre Swift.
It is.
Somebody who had all kinds of injury concerns with the Lions, and now he's going to an offensive line, which is going to be worse than the offensive line that he came from last year's Eagles. DeAndre Swift.
Best part, not your problem.
Yeah, not our problem at all. But honestly, if there was any move that the Bears made that I think is the smartest, it was re-signing Jalen Johnson to a long-term deal. And I get it, Jalen Johnson, and you've brought this up from time to time, Kenny, that he was a bit of a contract year demon. But I'll tell you what, not everybody turns into prime Darrelle Revis in their contract year, because that's what Jalen Johnson was last year. 33.3 passer rating when targeted, only allowed 25 receptions for 195 yards.
Yeah.
That's like
it's pretty good.
That's Johnson Island.
Yeah.
So I think, would you agree that I'll ask this question around the room. Do you think the Vikings got better
Defensively?
No? Okay. What about
from what they lost to what they gained? No.
Yeah, because Kirk Cousins, that's going to be a big one. The Packers, did they get better?
Yes.
What about the Bears?
Yes, because they didn't lose much.
Well, and also, it's not even just about this year. Like, Ryan Poles has been very active and aggressive. I mean, he traded for Montez Sweat midseason last year. He acquired TJ Edwards, and he traded for DJ Moore prior to last season. All those 3 moves, they worked. All those 3 guys were big-time players for the Bears. So he's made some good signings, at least when it comes to 1 year. But, all these teams in the NFC North are making moves, and we will see. It's going to be a fun division to watch next year.
Right.
Coming up next, though, we've got what a lot of people in the chat are waiting for, some hockey talk. Darren McCarty's State of the Union when it comes to the Red Wings. You are not going to want to miss that. But first, Swiss Insurance.
Good news, bad news. Bad news is insurance rates are going up across the board in Michigan. Good news, Swiss Insurance is here to help. Right now, more than ever, it's critical that you have your insurance reviewed. Swiss will make sure your carrier does not slip in extra fees or raise deductibles. Call Market Swiss Insurance today, 248-800-4177, or visit SwissINS.com. Tell them Woodward Sports, we sent you.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports. Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today. You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Football season is officially over and spring training is right around the corner. However, Jack Labrador is 24/7, 365 days a year. Learn how to play now on your phone at jacklabrador.gg. 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing 3-point play. And remember that once you go Jack, you never go back. Go to jacklabrador.gg. Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network, and this is kind of what we've all been waiting for, because when it comes to hockey, I know I made a couple in the Red Wings. I made a couple of statements yesterday, but people don't want to hear about hockey in the Red Wings from old Flannel Sam. They want to hear it from a true hockey elite, former 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty. And if you want, I can set it up by repeating what I said yesterday, and I'll do it very briefly.
Well, I'm gonna ask Spenny this.
Okay.
All right, Spenny, should I give my take and then we talk about what Sam has?
I think so, because that will.
Because then I won't start out yelling.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
It's plain and simple, ladies and gentlemen, as we sit here on March the 12th, 2024. All you have to do is go back to training camp. And if I were to ask you now, and this goes to everybody in the chat thread, everybody listening out there, everybody in here, KG, Spenny, Sam, if you were sitting at 72 points with 18 games left in the last wild card spot, controlling your destiny to make the playoffs, would you have taken it right now? The answer is yes. You don't need to answer it for me. The answer is yes. So, if you want to break down this last 5-game losing streak or whatever, really, right, you let one get away against the Islanders, who aren't going to quit. Fortunately, they lost last night, which everybody in the Eastern Conference lost last night. Bottom line, it's the biggest week of hockey right now to start your engines again. Yes, is there something with the garbage pail kids, as far as we can't win with the new emblem, but let's throw that out the window. You control your destiny on a week, Spenny, that you play the bottom teams. Now, if I'm going to look back, going into these games, you know what we should have? We should have 74 points. Mm-hmm. Saying one of those 5, the Arizona game, that is the blasphemy.
Yes.
Right? That cannot happen. But where you sit right now against the teams that you're playing, the home and away schedule, you control your destiny. Now, adversity, your captain hasn't been in there, but holy cow, boys, let's grab yourself by the junk and go out there and do it, right? For whatever reason. I don't need excuses. I don't need anything else. You control your own destiny. That's why you've played so well earlier in the season to bank these points. Do I believe Philly can maintain this? No, I think they're the team that's going to go out. I think that the Islanders have more of a chance. But again, you're in 8th. You have a 3-point cushion. You're tied with the other teams. Let's go win hockey games.
Yeah!
18, what'd I say, 72 points, the magic number, right, is 96. It might be 94. That means 11 or 12 of these next 18 games you can win. Do you believe that this team can win 11 or 12 of the 18 games?
Yeah!
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Hell
of course
yeah.
they can.
Now, here's the other thing for everybody else. Because the trade deadline came and went, and you're all going to be whining. Did you not listen to what Mr. Steve Eisman said in his press conference? Because what do I implore always? If it's hashtag Wiser Play 1919, at least listen to what the man has to say. And he told you that for any deal to be made out there, they felt that what they had inside the organization was better. Enough said. He's going to give you everything you want, not when you want it, unfortunately, or when I want it, right? And it's building. What did you learn, Spenny? What did you learn, KG and Sam? I don't know if you were watching, but you might have learned something. You're not there yet.
Yeah.
But you're better, and you are a playoff hockey team. Right? Now you got to go out and prove it. Now, have we all not done things that, we do a little bit different? But gosh darn it, when you control your destiny, we talking about the maturity. How many times did I say that word? Well, you know what? This is when the maturity and when the men step to the table. This is a huge week, right? I expect 3 wins, but I'll be happy with 2-0-1 because we keep pace. So let's buckle in. Get those flags out, because you don't just see your Red Wing thing. You don't pull the flag out, put it back down, whine about the flag, stuff like that. If you pull it out, you better use it, just like something else.
Oh.
I was talking guns.
Yeah. Of course you were. Of course you were.
But that's pretty much where I'm at with that. Yes. Does it suck? Was I disappointed? Stuff like this? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, you control your own destiny. And if this puts anybody else at ease, if they do not get it done in this next week, then you are in trouble. But I don't know. I'm pretty good with my back against the wall.
Hey,
I think these guys are going to be too.
Wild card, bitches! It sounds like part one of what I said yesterday, me and D-Mac might actually be in lockstep with. Probably not part two, but we'll get to that in a second. Spenny, I want to hear your thoughts on what D-Mac just said as well.
Yeah, I'm with D-Mac. You know, I said it that it's not like they're out of the playoffs. Red Wings fans acted like it's the end of the world. It's over. Oh, crap it in. We're going to cry and bitch and moan. You still got 3 games here, 2 against Buffalo, 1 against the Yotes. You got to win all 3 of them and get those points. And then you're right back in the swing of things. You control your own destiny, so it's on you. If you want to make the playoffs, if you intend to make the playoffs, it's on you to go out there, win games, and get points. And, yeah, it sucks not having Larkin, but the other guys got to step up. I'm with D-Mac. It is inexcusable to lose 4-0 to the Coyotes. You cannot do that. You cannot allow that to happen. But other than that, the games you look at, they're playing tough teams. They're playing guys who have Stanley Cup aspirations. Like when Stone comes back for the Golden Knights, they have one of the best rosters in the NHL. So it's not like you were losing cupcakes, except for the Yotes.
Here's what you learned also. The big dogs, the teams that are in the conversation and high on the board, the odds to win the Stanley Cup sure should take you seriously as a real team. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about the Colorados and the Floridas and the way that they play, because those were playoff mentality hockey games that the best in the league rose to the challenge. Now you got to rise to because you're the best out of these next few games, at least the next 3. So I'll be in Battle Creek tonight at the One Nation Tap and Table for the viewing party. If you're in the area, 6:30, pop in. But we're going to cheer these guys on. Now's the time. I mean, listen, it's like golf. You know, you get strokes, you know, when you're not that good. Well, you used them all up, boys. You've used up all your strokes. Now you got to play.
Yeah.
And we want the smoke.
Yeah, we do.
That's, hey.
Hell yeah,
I like
Mo, Teasy.
You know, D-Mac,
Dawkins, let's go.
Of all the things you said, one thing actually stuck out to me, where you actually made me think a little bit, because contrary to popular belief, I actually can be swayed, and I do let other people, at least, like, I do listen, I do learn from other folks. You mentioned something about how if you would have known at this point in the season that they'd have 72 points, that they would be in control of their destiny for a wild card spot, I would have taken it. We all would have taken it. Those are the type of arguments that I like to use from time to time, because it's true. It's just the way that just a few games ago it was looking like the Red Wings were just completely comfortable. We were even talking about maybe they'll run down Toronto, which isn't going to happen anymore. And now they've let the Islanders completely close the gap to now where they're tied.
That's where you're wrong. They haven't let the Islanders close the gap. The Islanders have been coming hard and playing hard, and you haven't taken care of business, right, Sam? So yes, right now, the last 5 games, but you're gonna hang that on the season. No. That's you know what? But you bring up a great point, because your fandom in that regard is like a lot of other people's. What have you done for me lately? Sure. But for the ones that are diehard, that are in for the long haul and stuff like this, it's a building process. And whatever goes on here, the best part is you see it's levels, right? And you're still another level away, but that's why it's so imperative to be able to make the playoffs and show that maturity. Yes, everybody's entitled to say, you know what's going on these last few games, but it's not as bad as you think, right? You lost one really bad game that you can never lose, that you can absolutely, and that's the Arizona one. But did you so we're sitting here with 74 points and you won that Arizona game. Is that change your demeanor?
I'm feeling a little bit better because Spenny was talking about Arizona, and I think he was right as a baked-in win. Obviously, it wasn't. They beat us 4-0, but we have a chance to give them their comeuppance when they come to LCA on Thursday, March 14th. My thing is that I believe that it's playoffs or bust. And they do have a fantastic opportunity right in front of them. 4 out of their next 6 at home. They have a road game at Buffalo. They play Buffalo twice. They play the Islanders again, which that would be a very, very important game for them to win, obviously. They have a 6-game stretch where I'm looking at you got to get at least 9 points. And if they do that, if they make the playoffs, if they turn this around, everything I said yesterday is moot. My thing is more that if the Red Wings don't make the playoffs, I'm gonna
tell me what you're gonna do. You're gonna fire everybody?
Not gonna fire everybody. I think that's where you can question Steve Yzerman a little bit. If they don't make the playoffs, that's just not further proof of why he's a genius. It would have been a failure to me, especially given how it would probably require a season tailspin, which is happening right now.
Does this make sense? Does this make sense at all? That the genius is building it his way? Right? So the fact that you're on such a time schedule to whatever else, not just the progress. Yeah, it'll be a disappointment, but you start talking stupid like that. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, there's no credibility to whatever else. There's levels to this thing, and there's reason. And yes, you could even say, up to your point, yes, would it be a failure? Would there different questions be made? But what do we know about Steve Yzerman? You think he's going to sit there and take not making the playoffs with a grain of salt? No. Who the fuck do you think you're talking about here?
Let him
so
cook.
Fucking grow the fuck up. Let the man do what he's going to do. Because the worst case scenario, he's the first one to walk in there with his samurai sword and start cutting heads off. He wouldn't be, he'd be the most upset.
Yeah.
He would be the most, but again, Sam, I digress. Because Steve Yzerman told you at the beginning of the year this wasn't a playoff team. Do you remember? Pull that clip up.
Yeah, but like, why? Yeah, why are we just okay with that in year 5? It's just
okay. I got a great act. No, it's not year 5. It's actually year 2 or 3. Why? Because the salary cap is like a credit card. And for everybody out there who doesn't understand this analogy, look like you maxed out your credit cards, right? So instead of paying it off each month and still having that interest, Steve Yzerman spent 2 years paying down the principal, paying everything else. So you know what? Say it was $10,000, Sam. So you know what happens when you pay off the $10,000 card? They give you $25,000. Right? So the fact is that why does Steve Yzerman? Because he's got a plan. And you wanted to take the 30,000-foot view of everything else. You got to see the way that they're moving. Yes, is it disappointing? Yes, would you have to make decisions? But this isn't a final product yet. And the fact there was nobody out there to save you, to this Messiah, to whatever else, to win this. He told you that, you know what, it's the youth in our organization that we believe in more. Now, if these guys that are there right now with the most 10 goal scorers in the league, that the balance, show me. Fucking come out and show me. And you can be fucking disappointed, but be disappointed at the fucking team, not at the fucking GM, because he's put everything in the position to get him there and not step back like a lot of other organizations do and hinder the progress of moving forward. That's the reason. That's why he gets carte blanche. You want to question coaching? You want to question players? Did they step up? Did they play? You want to question goaltending, defensemen, right? The one question you can ask, if it doesn't work out, should he have brought Edvardson up earlier? Should he have brought these guys? Yes, you can ask questions when it doesn't work out. But until it doesn't work out, shut the fuck up.
I just need you to trust me.
All right,
that's it.
You know what?
And you can come at me with every friggin' question you want if they don't make the friggin' playoffs and everything else. But again, it's not Steve Yzerman. He got you to Brinkett. He got you Kane, right? He went out, he got Comfort. He building this team. He re-signed. Right? You see the writing on the wall. That's it. Don't bail out now. And you know why I know this, and maybe it's unfair. Because you know how hard it was for us, and you know how everybody quit on us to whatever, but we didn't quit on ourselves because of friggin' 93, 95, 96, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I know, if that makes sense, that he won't be denied. And maybe this not making the playoffs, if that's what happens, is them getting knocked down the hill. But they're going to come back.
Everything's going to be fine.
That's why.
No,
and when we win this fucking cup in 4 or 5 years, bro, I'll let you drink out of it. But you know what? I'm going to be fucking in your ear the whole fucking time.
Right.
And you better get down and fucking praise Steve Eisenman.
Oh, dude, I will apologize. And like I said, everything that I said can be moot, at least to me, if they make the playoffs and they have a great opportunity in front of them. And I just want to say this as well. You're right. I said yesterday as well that you can't let the Larkin injury, which does hurt. He's your 1C. That sucks. You can't let it like tailspin your season to this degree because you now still have 11 guys who have 10 goals.
And,
you know.
DNCENT says if Brad Holmes came out year 3 and said, "Yeah, we aren't a playoff team," we would be upset. It's okay to question him. Hockey's different than football, man.
Yeah,
it's way different.
And you know what? The glaze on Steve Eisenman. I'm just telling you know what? You guys just don't understand of what you're dealing with to what he's been. And what do you want? Who else do you want doing it? Who's a better GM in the league that you want there making these calls? And at Brad Holmes. And who the hell, you know what? Because that's where where I'm different. Because if you tell me the game plan that we're not there yet, but we're working towards there and we're adding things, then I'm for it. Why? Because it took a while that I understand in order to win, it took building. And it just doesn't happen overnight.
Like, and it's hockey's extremely different from football and the NBA. These guys take time to mature before you can bring them up. It's very, very rare in hockey, unless you're the number 1 overall pick or a Connor Bedard or a Connor McDavid, that you come up to the NHL that year and have this huge impact. We got lucky with Mo Seider being one of those guys, and Lucas Raymond was forced on the team because of injuries his rookie year. In hockey, it takes a year or 2 or 3 to develop into an NHL player.
No, and for the record, I understand that. My thing is more, that's why I'm saying in year 5, which if you want to call year 3 because he had to clean up those terrible books, which is true, fine. I'm not saying be a cup contender. I'm not even saying score a goal in the playoffs, let alone win a game. I'm just saying make it. That's all. Make the playoffs, and then you have a rousingly successful season. But if you don't, I think it'll be a disappointment. And then I think that Steve Eisenman's approval rating, if you want to question him a little bit, I don't think that that's the most blasphemer thing in the world. That's all I'm saying. Well, apparently Stephen A. Smith disagrees, but still. But
who?
Stephen A. Smith.
Who's he? Is he a hockey guy?
No, he is not.
Oh, that's why I didn't recognize. Would he play? Oh, Steve Smith for the Edmonton Oilers, number 5 back in the day with Gretzky.
It was the drop. It was the drop. That is blasphemous. That's from Stephen A. Smith. That's why. That's where I said that. Yes.
Hey, Sam, will it be disappointing?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Why? Because you've been controlling your destiny for so long, and obviously you the maturity you haven't had.
Well,
I just think that the fact that like this is. Put up, shut up. You're right. This is a time. But again, is that Steve Eisenman's fault? I think he's giving you put it together. The questions can be, oh, okay, should you brought up this guy earlier? Should you got? But no, I trust in him.
No, and I actually, if you guys don't mind, I want to pose this question to both you D-Mac, and you, Spenny, when we come back from the break, because I do think Steve Eisenman may have made a mistake or two, and I just want to get your guys' feel on it. But first, I got to tell you about Big Boy. Seafood Fest is back at Big Boy. Catch it while you can. Dive into fish and chips, their new Parmesan crusted cod, perfectly fried clam strip platter, or a delicious fish sandwich. A Big Boy must try the new mango iced tea, the ultimate compliment to their popcorn shrimp Alfredo, or shrimp stir fry. Every day is a fish fry at Big Boy. And don't forget, every Friday night, the all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. See you at Big Boy.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports. Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Woodward Sports has a new morning show. Start your day with Wake Up Woodward Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. live on Woodward Sports. Join Kool-Aid, Flannel, Sam, Broder, JB, and KG every morning as they cover all of Detroit sports. Sports talk, banter, and live fan interaction, all on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports. Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, and the man to my left is 4-time Stanley Cup champion with the Detroit Red Wings, Darren McCarty, which means, and I will admit it, that his word holds a lot more weight when it comes to the Red Wings than I, but we're having a discussion.
Here's the thing. It's perspective.
Right.
I have locker room, playing, winning, actually at that game at the highest level perspective, and you got fan perspective.
Sure.
And to whatever it is, but there's a lot of you out there.
No,
and my thing is, why do I get upset is because I'm going to tell you, I'll stand on the desk after when I tell you I told you so. So it's only for the ones that really want to listen. I'm just telling you, like as far as don't be worried. The clock's still off. I got them in the playoffs. It's just they're making it harder on themselves than they need to. Sort of like we used to do. Anybody ever watch a last minute of a third period back in our day when we were up a goal? You ever watch those, Spenny? Because you pull your hair out. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're doing. They're not making it easy on themselves. But again, that's part of the maturity.
Yeah, no, and for the record, I understand that I have a right to my opinion as well. I was more speaking in reverence to somebody who actually played the game, because believe it or not, we have
self-awareness is on point.
Yes, we have a relationship built on mutual respect, as I do with everyone else that I work with. The one question that I wanted to ask is that defensively, they've been shaky for large parts of the season. I would say overall, it's been a weak spot. My thing is, you can give me Alex DeBrincat, you can give me Patrick Kane, you can give me JT Compher, you can give me Daniel Sprong. Great signings. I will give you that any day of the week.
Oh, say
but
that.
What if I counter with, and for the record, just with them tied for the wild card spot, I just have to counter with this briefly. What if I counter with Petrie and Justin Holl? I think that those were kind of, especially when it comes to Justin Holl, if he would have given you just what he gave for Toronto last year, I think we would be a lot better. But it hasn't worked. It just hasn't.
So that's a miss.
Yeah.
Right, to whatever else, to they haven't worked out like the other one. Here's the one thing. A lot of the times, you want to fix the whole car at once. He decided to work on the offense and work on the speed and stuff like this because that's what was out there, and for whatever money or reason, I know that, for the production of Justin Holl to his contract, you can say that that's a miss. But again, until he's not here, he has next couple years, right, as being part of it until you see that it's gone. You're not. I don't care who you are. You're not going to hit on every one player and stuff like this, but you can't argue. The one thing that was addressed this year is the fact that we could score.
Fair.
At least we hadn't when we needed to in this last trip, but the fact we addressed scoring, offense, that's never been the case. You can't get it all at once, and you know what? Sometimes you're going to take a chance that's not going to work out. I think that's part of sports, and that's totally unfair to think that it's not. If you're going to question anything about Steve Eisman when it comes to defense, is why isn't Edvinsson here?
I was just
why? If you're going to question, and you know what, Sam? But when you ask him that question and he tells you the answer, that if he doesn't think he's ready, he thinks he's going to get more out of whatever his answer is, you can't not accept his answer. That's what I mean. You want to ask him, and then he gives you the reason, and you don't agree with it, so he's wrong.
Well,
no, dude, he's got the power.
The only thing I will say, though, and I appreciate that every time Edvinsson's name gets made up, it gets brought up, his picture's up there, is that if But you can't get on me for bringing up this hypothetical because their lead over the Islanders just evaporated. If they don't make the playoffs and Edvinsson still only plays these 2 games with the big club, I'm going to be like, yeah, Steve Yzerman, you may tell me why, but you might have wanted to bring him up. That's it. That's all.
You know what? That's great to hear. Hey, Spenny, did you know that Simon Edvinsson is the saving grace for this organization?
I'm not saying he's the saving grace.
You just did.
No, I didn't.
You said that's you just told me that if Simon Edvinsson was here, you'd guarantee making the playoffs.
I didn't guarantee it. What I'm saying is he's better than Hull or Petrie. Right now he is. Better than Olimata to me.
But do you want him playing Hull, you know what I mean, or Petrie minutes and different things? Like, I would trust the professionals on this one, but, and I'm not there, so I don't know, but I know there's a reason. But if you want to feel better, there's not dissent, but there's disagreement inside the organization at the highest level about whether or not to have. So at the end of the day, it's not like people don't share your sentiment, but what I'm saying is that Steve Yzerman doesn't do things without his reason.
Sure.
Now the problem is he never tells us what his reasons are until it's after it's played out.
Yeah, no.
But his track record, to me, has proven he's continuing to build.
No, and they're better. They're better last year than they were before, and they were better last year than they were before the year before. I understand that. And Chuck Brewer brings this up, and I'm just going to point this out because I went at him pretty hard the other day, and I feel a little bit bad. Disappointment is how fast it's going is fair. There, at least you grant me that. But to compare this to the Lions shows you're coolest. Sorry, not sorry. I hope you weren't directing that at me because I've never actually done that. But if you are, it is a different sport. I will give you that. And Brad Holmes, the fact that he was able to do what he did by year 3 is phenomenal. But as I said before, if Steve Yzerman leads this Red Wings team, or he builds this Red Wings team, which is led by Lalonde and the players, to the playoffs, I will get on this table and do a slow clap. I promise. I promise I will do that because it will be a hell of an achievement.
Do it when no one's around because I don't think really anybody would want to see that. Because you'd be afraid you'd fall.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't stand on
You're
the
not
guys.
the most athletically sound person, Sam. You're just thinking about your safety.
I am one of the worst athletes in the building. That is for damn sure.
There's nothing that makes me happier than watching Sam Flannel dance, though. That is an all-time experience.
Yeah, that was fun times. I am a willing dancer, which if you're a guy out there and you're single and you want to kind of like ingratiate yourself to people, be a willing dancer when you're at the bar or club.
Yeah. Spenny, that's like a shirt I saw the other day at the Comic-Con. It said, "Hey, you're a great dancer," signed beer.
Yeah. He's right, though. Flannel's right. The ladies like you when you're out there dancing rather than just standing in the corner.
You don't want to be that guy in the corner standing with your beer up to your chest or whatever. But anywho.
Hey, guys, self-confidence.
Yep.
It's big.
It is huge.
On the streets, eh, Spenny?
Oh, yeah.
It's big on the streets.
It is 100% big on the streets. It can take you levels and where you never thought you could go. But you know what else can help you with the ladies, with your confidence or anything? A great haircut from Lady Jane's, of course.
Get it done. Good like
segue.
D-Mac. Walk in at any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Briefcase Challenge with more than 20 Metro Detroit locations. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week, walking anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports. Love Woodward Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC, the same great service that customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Ave, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Welcome back. Yay. No, go ahead.
Yeah, breaking news. As Spemorek predicted, Derrick Henry is signing a 2-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep.
$16 million, worth up to $20 million, including $9 million fully guaranteed.
Wait a minute. So is his AAV the same as DeAndre Swift's?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. No, honestly, Derrick Henry's been one of my favorite players in the NFL for many, many years. And I think with the Baltimore Ravens, given that you might have J.K. Dobbins back, although I wouldn't count on that.
Yeah.
You got Derrick Henry back there. He's just such a hammer. And when he gets in the open field, he's faster than every safety and corner that are trying to catch him. Although he might not be anymore, but in his prime he certainly was. That was the only place where Derrick Henry could go. So congratulations to him. And maybe he's the missing piece to where, or one of the missing pieces to where the Ravens can finally get over the hump, because they got to do that soon, or else they're going to be big-time playoff underachievers, which under Lamar they already have been, and that's fair, by the way.
That's going to help them in the playoffs a lot. Having a guy like Derrick Henry.
They needed 3 backs to get that kind of production. Now they got it all in one.
They got it all. Yep. Yeah. We got it. Like, does that mean is Gus Edwards still under contract?
Yeah. No, Gus Edwards got signed to the Chargers.
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
he did.
All right, cool. Because I wouldn't think that would be a perfect match, but still, that's congratulations to the Baltimore Ravens. I would say that they are favorites in their division next year as well, even if they do lose Jadeveon Clowney, for example, because they also re-signed Justin Matabuke, and they got some young players as well. But speaking of a young player who is promising, Tarek Skubal.
Yes,
and
sir.
Spenny, you've had this on the prep sheet for a while, so I'm going to come to you first. Is Tarek Skubal a legit Cy Young candidate this year?
I believe so. I believe he is. If you look at the odds, he was top 5 at the beginning of the year, or before the year started. When the odds came out, he was top 5 in the AL for AL Cy Young. He's bumped up his velocity to 99, 100, where he's on the gun. That's extremely impressive. When he was hot, when he was in last year, when he was playing, he was pitching at like a 2.7, 2.8 ERA, which is what Garrett Cole won the Cy Young with last year. If he stays healthy and pitches the amount of innings he's supposed to see, if he gets 30 starts, he's going to be a 200 strikeout guy. He's going to be a 2.7 ERA guy. And that is, there's not a lot of top flight arms in the American League this year. And the odds are going to go up for him because Garrett Cole is having surgery. So we're not sure what that means for Garrett Cole. I doubt it's anything too crazy, and I'm sure he'll still get his starts throughout the year. But I love Skubal. I think it's a very big possibility.
Does Garrett Cole still play for the Yankees?
He does.
Okay. Yeah.
Does the velocity scare you at all as far as become more injury prone, or do you think that this is the year? Because I feel like this is a year that this is his statement year. You know, his coming out party and stuff like that. You know, and I think expectations when the size is not there. But the fact, Spenny, I think that's what you said, a sub 3. 3.0 ERA and stuff like this, and we know he's a fireballer, he's a strikeout pitcher and stuff like that coming from the left side. The one thing is that you don't realize he's huge. I got a picture with him standing next to him and stuff like this, and it's like, God, you know, like it's one of those things. So you can see. So again, what does it talk to? Look at the changes that were made into the pitching staff and the pitching coach and different strength and conditioning and fundamentals and stuff like that. So early on, it seems to be paying off, and hopefully, right, we see him get in a groove, and he has his coming out party like JV did, 10 years ago.
I mean, I would say that you can kind of argue that he had a version of a coming out party last year. I mean, he only made 15 starts, but he had a 2.80 ERA. And oh, by the way, in the month of September, he was the best pitcher on planet Earth. 30 innings pitched, 3 earned runs allowed. Absolutely phenomenal. And we all know the type of he's just nasty. A left-hander who just throws who pitches like that. I don't know. The mechanics of pitching isn't really my expertise. You should go to Matt Broder for that. But when you just watch him, it's just like, man, that was some filthy stuff that he has. So
he doesn't have the violent arm movement of other guys.
It gets up on you so fast.
Yeah, it's very smooth delivery. That's why the velocity, I'm not worried about, his elbow or his shoulder, because it's not a violent pitching motion. It's very smooth, and it comes out of the hand so nice. Pause. But I love Tariq Skubal, and I honestly think I expect the Tigers to contend, if not win, the Central this year.
Yes, sir.
And that means I expect Tariq Skubal to have 30-plus starts this year. I expect him to be top 3 in AL Cy Young voting.
No, he's your ace.
I think that's, Spenny, you bring up a great point. Don't worry about the record. Don't worry about the earned runs. Don't worry about the strikeouts. Worry about how many starts has he had. If he has 30 starts,
you in good shape.
He's challenging 20 wins.
Yes.
And with a solid bullpen, I mean,
it can hold some leads. Go ahead.
Just got to get some run support. That's it.
Yep, that's the key to it all. And the thing is, it also, I think, depends on whether or not this is a weaker Cy Young class, because Garrett Cole won it last year, and shout out to Garrett Cole, he had a great year, but he had a 2.63 ERA. Tariq Skubal's was 2.80.
Yeah.
If he pitches a full season and can be maybe sub 250, which is a big ask, by the way, but
hey, we got Matt Broder in here from Wake Up Woodward, who's our pitching specialist.
Shout out.
Obviously pitching for the University of Michigan. He said spot on, spending his injuries in rehab allowed him to retool his mechanics to increase velocity and stay healthy. My question to you, Broder, is how common is that, or how hard is it to do? And does Spenny, as far as the efficiency of the ball coming out of his hand, it sets him up for success? That's the one question that I asked Broder. We'll wait for the response. But, yeah, but it's set up. It's just like we've been breaking it down. The starting pitching, and then like too, where you really look at it, where you've added veterans, and then you still got a couple question marks in Manning and Mize, but hopefully with the revamping of this pitching staff and the rehab and the train, all this stuff, that this is more of the norm for all of them.
Hey, and if you want to get really excited, this is from our pitching expert, Matt Broder. Very similar, talking about Mize and Skubal. Skubal's hot now, but Mize can be that good too. Wouldn't that be something? And
he can.
There's a reason Casey Mize went 1-1. When he was right, when he was healthy, he had one of the nastiest pitches in baseball.
Yeah.
Like his splitter, if it's on, it's one of the nastiest pitches in the MLB. So if Casey Mize is ready to go, you could have 2 aces at the top of your rotation.
He was, and the thing is, at the time when he was picked, I mean, he was kind of the franchise #1 overall pick, expected to be your ace. And just imagine, and I know people are going to crush me for this because I'm making big leaps. Remember during the glory days of the Tigers, when Justin Verlander was on the mound, whether it was Justin Verlander, whether it was Scherzer, whether it was like a David Price, or even to some extent like an Anibal Sanchez, you're like, we're winning that game.
Shout out Doug Fister.
Doug Fister,
Right. But like not so much him, although he was very good too. But those guys, maybe not even Anibal Sanchez, but the first 3 I mentioned, you're like, Tigers are going to win this game.
Yeah.
If you can 1 out of 5, or even, man, if Casey Mize can return to form, 2 out of 5 games, think that's my ace on the mound, we're going to win that game. We're more than likely going to win that game. That's one of the pathways to the Tigers winning the Central, and I believe they will.
And it helps having the best pitching coach in the MLB.
Well, that's what Broder just said. That's Chris Fetter's specialty. His off speed was, I was talking about Skubal, causing too much strain on his elbow, and he wasn't using his big ass legs. This is sustainable, and that's coming from a pitcher.
Yeah, he's just going to be pumping. Again, Justin Verlander is my favorite Tiger of all time, so I don't want to say this lightly, but like what I see of Skubal is some of the stuff we saw out of Verlander, where at the end of the game, when he's in the 8th inning, 100 pitches in, that's when he hits 102. Right, that's what with the legs that Skubal has, he could do that to where he's 100 pitches in the game and his velocity's still going up because it comes from the bottom half.
And you know what? Here's the thing too. He'll put me in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He gets on it. He will bring the girls to the yard.
Yeah.
Oh, he definitely will. And KG, I want to get your Tariq Skubal. Is the Cy Young goals too lofty, or do you think he can do it?
I don't think so. Like you said, he was top 5 last year, man. It all comes down to health. I know we keep saying that it's a cop-out, but that's literally all it's going to take. If he can play 30 starts, like you said, I think this pitching rotation is in very, very good shape. You're looking at a very good bullpen, closing pitching as well. It's all relies on health and run support, man. I keep hitting that run support. If you don't get the run support, it don't matter how good your pitching is.
No, it doesn't. For your individual stats, you can still have a great ERA. You can be like King Felix was that one year, or Zach Greinke, and have about a 500 record and still win Cy Young. But you'd rather see like 20-5 or 20-6.
Real quick, Sam, is Almago back?
No, he is not.
You got a hit.
You got a hit. You got a double.
You got a double.
Attaboy.
Go.
Wow. Even Sam doesn't say Almago's back?
No, Almago's the worst everyday player in baseball. But for the Tigers, though, which the nature of the sport, he's only 1 of 9. He didn't hurt Riley Green or Spencer Torkelson or Kerry Carpenter or even guys like Andy Ibanez or Jake Rogers last year.
Anywhere near those guys in the lineup.
Yeah, please.
Absolutely.
Hopefully he's in the
Make him
7th or
8th or
8th
9th.
hole.
Yeah, like seriously.
No, it's just that he's bad and he's a cancer, but he's only 1 of 9 in the lineup. Thank God for that. However, if you're Javi Baez and you think you can alter your mind in any way, shape, or form to get better,
maybe this is where he needs to go. He's allowed. We're in Michigan. Visit Dispo Dispensary today because March Madness is officially here. Dispo is giving away $1,000 to the best bracket at each location. That's Battle Creek, Romeo, Whitmore Lake, Hazel Park, Bay City, North and South, and Ann Arbor. Go get your blank brackets now, fill them out, and return them by St. Patty's Day on March 17th to secure your entry for a chance at that $1,000. Dispo Dispensary, DispoShops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Buying your first Feldman Chevrolet is much more than buying the car that will get you from point A to point B. It's a place for first memories, some big, some small. As she grows, you're not just buying her a Chevy, you're buying into a Feldman family. With more than 700,000 vehicles sold, from generation to generation, Feldman just keeps rolling.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking, and the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
how would you like to win $50,000? It's the Woodward Sports 50K Bracket Buster Challenge, brought to you by Glorious Cannabis, Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, and Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza. Register for your chance to win at any Lady Jane's or Soroki's location, or just scan the QR code behind me. The shot clock is ticking. Register today at woodwardsportsbracket.com. That's woodwardsportsbracket.com, and you could be $50,000 richer. Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, last segment of the day. And before we talk about anything else, I just have to shout out the man who usually occupies this seat, Mr. Neil Rule. I'm hoping for a Grizzlies win tonight and for a chance for them to go to the NCAA tournament.
He will be on the call for the Horizon League Championship game. Who's Oakland Grizzlies playing?
I'm not sure.
Well, that's a good question. But yeah,
they beat Cleveland State.
They beat Cleveland State yesterday.
And so now Neil will be on the call, ESPN Plus, 7 o'clock, I believe.
Yes. So Neil's one of the best in the business, and I hope that he gets to call some NCAA tournament games for his sake, even if he might be you might be getting me instead of him on some BDE shows, which I'm sure all of you are perfectly okay
They're playing
with.
Milwaukee.
But yeah,
Milwaukee, that's right.
It's funny because I actually tuned into the latter part of the game. I remember at one point, I don't know if any of you guys caught the Oakland game, but Cleveland State was down by 4, and Oakland fouled the three-point shooter. When that ball was in the air, I'm like, if these guys actually tie the game, that would be all-time boneheaded. But you know what? They came out with a win. I'm just sure Neil Rule had some more nervous moments later on in the game than maybe he had bargained for. But you know who else got a big win last night? Now that we have a few minutes. The Detroit Pistons.
Oh.
Wow. After
They swept the Hornets this year.
I mean, beat like a fellow bottom feeder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely.
Yeah, well, you know what? If the Red Wings do that, then we wouldn't be sitting here talking about if they beat the bottom feeder.
Yeah. And that's the worst part. And I think that somebody said it in the chat that was the one. The Islander loss was kind of tough, but the one at Phoenix, that's where it's just like, oh, you just can't let this happen. But you know what? And Darren McCarty, I know you'll echo this. You got to give them their comeuppance when they come to LCA.
Well, that's it. And you control your destiny just like you have for the last 2 weeks. And you know what? The worst thing that could happen, you lost every game, but now you still control your destiny. You're in a good spot.
Yeah, and that was actually one thing. The one thing that you said that really, and I'm repeating myself, but the fact that they do control their destiny, the fact that they're still, if I would have taken this scenario at the beginning of the year, it's talked me off the ledge a little bit.
Well, it bothers me, Sam, when you're talking about the Islanders, and they come back. There's 18 games left. They haven't done shit. What if the Islanders lost last night and go lose 5 in a row?
They could.
Come on. But that's what I'm talking about. It's tough out there in the streets. Tell them, Spenny.
Yep.
It's tough out here
in
the streets.
But dial in. Got to take care of Buffalo tonight. You got to start there.
Got to be Buffalo tonight.
Yeah. Just completely end any hopes that Buffalo has of maybe sneaking into a playoff spot. I know they only have 65 points, but to be fair, they're probably licking their chops like maybe we can get Detroit while they're down. So, any thoughts on that?
Here's a good way to go out. I'll give you a Buffalo story.
Yep.
Because Buffalo, Spenny, was my first year was the first game on the road that I ever played guilty in the show.
Yeah.
Playing guilty means we were out eating chicken wings, drinking beers. We were out the late nights. We won 6-1.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, those are usually the ones you don't want to get into a fight because you usually get hit 4 or 5 times before you know you're in a fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stuff did happen 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's shout out to the Anchor Bar and get your buffalo wings and all your beers.
Yep.
And, Buffalo's, if you haven't been out there drinking, it's a good place to go drinking.
Shout out Buffalo. And also shout out Matt Broder, because rarely do we have a segment in which somebody in the chat is actually probably carries it. Broder, you did that with the Tarek Skubal stuff. So good on you, Mr. Southpaw Slabs, the former left-handed pitcher at Michigan who struck out George Springer. But he's not like, he doesn't brag about it. It's just if you bring it up, he'll tell you.
It's a flex.
It is definitely a flex. But you know what else was a flex? I think this show today was a flex.
Facts.
Me personally.
No blow up, Sam. Good job.
But you know what? It wasn't because of me. It was because of D-Max, Spencer Rexter, KG, and all of you wonderful people in the chat.
That's a lie, Sam. It's because of the people. Remember, Woodward Sports is not about the sports. It's about the people.
I shouted them out last, but I should have shouted them out first because there would be no Woodward Sports if it wasn't for you guys. Please be sure to tune into Ermanni and Edwards with Maz from 2 to 4 p.m. and then watch Spencer Raxter and Easy from 5 to 7 p.m. And tune into Big D Energy tomorrow. I think Neil Rule will be back. Hopefully he can be celebrating a victorious Oakland Grizzlies. We will see you all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.